I have been a security guard at Hartwell County Regional for 11 years. Before that, I was a Navy corpsman for 8. I have watched doctors shout at orderlies, watched families collapse in waiting rooms, watched administrators make decisions that cost people things they could never get back. I thought I had seen the full range of what a hospital corridor could hold. I was wrong about that. I understand that now. Her name was Margaret Solano. She was 61, silver-haired, and she moved through that ER the way a river moves. Not fast, not slow, but with a purpose that makes everything in its path rearrange itself without being asked. She had been a floor nurse at Hartwell for 6 years. Before that, nobody on staff knew much of anything about her, and she did not volunteer it. Dr. Harlan Pruitt, our chief of medicine, had decided she was a problem. I will not pretend his side was entirely simple. There had been documented disagreements over protocol, both of which she had turned out to be right about, though the paperwork did not say so. There was a donor's son whose care she had redirected without clearing it upward. The redirection had saved the young man, but it embarrassed the attending, and the attending had gone to Pruitt, and Pruitt was the kind of man who did not enjoy being made to feel that a floor nurse knew more than his team. I understood the politics. I had been in enough chains of command to recognize the sound of one closing on someone. On a Tuesday morning in March, Pruitt walked onto the ER floor with his deputy at his shoulder and a piece of paper in his hand, and he called her name in a voice that carried to every corner of the room. She was finishing a chart at the nursing station. She set down her pen and turned. He told her she was being removed from patient care pending a formal review. He told her she was a liability, not an asset. He used that word twice, the way some men use a word when they want to make sure it lands and leaves a mark. He held out his hand for her badge. The room had gone the particular quiet. That means 14 people are pretending not to listen. She unclipped her badge. She held it a moment, not dramatically, just the way you hold something before you give it away, because it is yours and then it will not be. She placed it in his open palm. "I'll wait," she said, "nothing else. No argument, no tears, no raised voice." Pruitt's deputy pointed at me and nodded toward the corridor, and that was how I became the man assigned to stand beside Margaret Solano while her career was being taken apart in an office down the hall. We walked to the far end of the corridor, near the ambulance bay doors, and we stood there together, and she was quiet. And I said nothing useful. I told myself I was following an order. She watched those doors the whole time, the way a person watches something they have been watching for a long time and do not intend to stop. The radio on my belt crackled. Bay 2, trauma alert, MVA, male mid-30s, deteriorating en route. I heard the team mobilize behind us. I kept my position. The gurney came through fast, and I had enough corpsmen left in me to read the man on it without meaning to. Wrong color, wrong breathing pattern, wrong everything. The attending, Dr. Ferris, was calling out a standard protocol. It was the right protocol for what the presentation looked like on the surface, but I had a feeling that was not what that was. She had gone very still beside me, not the stillness of inattention, the stillness of someone reading. "He's not perfusing on the right," she said quietly, to herself maybe, or to the air between us and the gurney. "That's overpressure injury, blast pattern. The right lung is compromised and it's not presenting the standard way. He needs a needle now, or he will not make it to imaging." Ferris did not register her. He kept calling orders. The monitor above the patient began its sharp, insistent change in tone. The two residents slowed in the way that people slow when they are beginning to understand that what they are doing is not working. "Mr. Greer," she said. I looked at her. "I need you to make a choice. I am 58 years old. I know what a man looks like 30 seconds before you lose him, and the woman standing beside me had just named. Without equipment, without a scan, with nothing but her eyes and whatever she carried inside her. The thing that was killing him. I stepped aside. She crossed that floor the way she had always moved through a room. 3 words to the charge nurse, who handed her what she asked for without questioning it. 1 sentence to Ferris, who started to object, and then looked at the monitor and stopped. She worked with a precision that is not learned in a classroom. The kind learned in conditions where the alternative to precision is a body bag. In less than 2 minutes, the monitor's tone changed back. The man's color began to return. Ferris stood back. None of them said anything. She gave the charge nurse a quiet instruction for the next 30 minutes. Then she straightened and walked back to where I was standing, and her face was exactly as it had been when she gave Pruitt her badge, composed private a country unto itself. Thank you, she said to me. I still did not know what to say, so again I said nothing. Then the ambulance bay doors opened, 8 of them. A sergeant major in dress greens at the front. 6 soldiers behind him in a line, chests carrying the kind of hardware that does not come from a single tour or a quiet war. And beside the sergeant major, 1 pace back, a man in his early 60s, civilian clothes, but holding himself the way men hold themselves when the uniform is gone, but the posture never left. In his right hand, a worn dog-tag chain. He was not moving fast. He was moving like a man who had been moving toward this particular moment for a long time and had no need to rush the last few feet. The sergeant major stopped in the center of the ER floor. His eyes found her immediately. Shepherd 6, he said. Not a question, a recognition. She went very still. The man with the chain stepped forward. His name, I would learn later, was Raymond Castillo, retired master sergeant, and he had been 19 years old and bleeding on a mountain in a country most Americans have never heard of, when a flight medic pulled him out of the dark on the 3rd run of a night that should have killed her. He had made her a promise when she put him on that helicopter, the way men make promises when they are not sure they will live to keep them. If she ever needed someone to stand for her, he would come. His son was the man on the gurney. When the ambulance brought the young man in, he had recognized her voice through the bay doors and used the last clear moment he had to call his father. Castillo stopped in front of her. He held up the chain, his father's dog tags, carried since that mountain, engraved with her call sign. My boy called me, he said. I came. You didn't have to, she said. Yes, I did. The sergeant major turned to face Pruitt, who was standing in the doorway of his office, with the badge still in his hand and the paper hanging at his side. Sir, that woman carried 19 men out of Korengal, under fire in a single night. She walked the last 7 out on foot when her aircraft was too damaged to fly. She was awarded the Silver Star. She spent 22 years keeping people alive in conditions most of us will never see. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. And she just kept your patient alive when your team couldn't read what was killing him. The ER was very quiet. Pruitt looked at the badge in his hand. He looked at her. He did not speak. She crossed the floor to him. She did not hold out her hand. She stood before him, unhurried, and after a long moment he placed the badge back into her palm. Behind her, the 6 soldiers had come to attention. It was not a commanded movement. It simply happened. The way things happen when a room decides all at once what the moment requires. I have thought about that morning every day since. About the choice she gave me in that corridor, and the one I made. About the way she walked back across the floor after saving a man nobody else could read. No anger, no gloating, no need to be seen. Just that composure that had always made her seem like a country unto itself. I was a corpsman once. I know what it costs to hold that kind of line. When Raymond Castillo looked over at me from across that floor, I nodded at him once, the way one old soldier nods at another, when the only thing left to say has already been said by everything that just happened. It was enough. It was more than enough.